Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am in my car right now because as I was editing this video I realized I didn't film any kind of an intro for this video, and yeah, so I figured while I was waiting for my kids to get off school I would do that now. We have had a pantry of sorts for the last 4.5 years that we've lived in this house, and it's basically like a little cupboard closet with a door off the kitchen. It's above this staircase, and so it wasn't very deep, but it had this weird hole that the previous owners of this house had, for whatever reason, cut through the wall, and it just kind of was a hole that went nowhere. And so we had just taken a bookcase and put it in front of the hole, and that was our pantry. But it wasn't big enough. It was your standard 8-inch deep kind of IKEA style bookcase. I don't think it was actually IKEA, but as I was staring at the pantry I was thinking about how to maximize the space. And I mean, obviously having shelves that actually went the entire length of the cupboard would be good, but we were limited with what we could put in there because we couldn't fit a shelf assembled through the door. So we had to disassemble a shelf and reassemble it in the closet, which was a feat because it's not very deep. It's, I think, what is it, like 18 inches deep maybe? I can't remember what depth we were working with, but anyways, it's not very deep. And it's got this weird stair, and yeah, it's a treat. I have some footage kind of showing what it looked like when I started working on this project. I completely forgot about my camera because I just wanted to get it done. But I do have a before picture that I took of my pantry when I reorganized it probably 3 years ago. So it gives you an idea of like the setup that we had. And if you look to the left of the picture, you can actually see like a little snippet of the hole that goes back into the abyss. And so I had drawn up a plan for my husband where I wanted, actually I'll probably insert a picture of the plan in the video, but anyways, I wanted shelves that went the entire length of the width of the cupboard as well as the depth of the cupboard, and then as we got higher they were slightly narrower so we could still see what was in the bottom shelves. And also in the hole, I thought it would be neat to have like a slide so that we could utilize some of that depth, even though it wasn't really, I mean, it was just a hole over the staircase that had a weird box built over it. So that is what we did. The first few minutes of footage, there's not a lot going on because I was in the kitchen doing a bunch of prep cooking that day and my husband was getting the basics started. So I went in and took little snippets of video where I could. But yeah, the next day you get a much more like play-by-play of everything that we did. Anyways, enough of me rambling. I will just let you see what we did. Alright, so this is what I came up with for the design, and here is the before picture from a few years ago. If you look to the left you can kind of see the hole where the pasta's sitting, and this gives you a better idea. So there's just like this big hole cut in there, no real rhyme or reason. I've taken all of my pantry goods out. This was in the morning when I'd mostly forgotten about my camera and then went, oh shoot, I don't have any kind of a before picture. So this is as good as it gets, but I think it gives you a good idea of what we were working with. We had to disassemble the shelf in order to take it out because it doesn't fit through the door. And then these are just a few clips from what Garen was doing while I was cooking. Those boards kind of go over some, I don't know, joists, maybe you want to call them? I have no idea. There's the staircases underneath those boards, and we were just covered up the insulation up top just because it was just kind of hanging out there and it didn't seem like a good idea. And we were still trying to figure out what exactly we were going to do with this space, whether we were going to try and utilize the whole thing. And then we finally decided we were going to create a box and kind of seal everything in, so it just kind of felt more finished, and it felt like, you know, somewhere you'd actually want to store your stuff instead of some random room with studs and insulation. So this is it all closed in. Those bottom boards are the ones that we originally had. He ripped off the ones that were on the side and replaced it with brand new MDF. We wanted to keep this project as low cost as possible, so you know, we used what we had. We bought 2 sheets of MDF, 4x8 MDF, and the wood he's working with there are actually some old slats from a set of bunk beds that we got rid of, and my husband kept the slats because they were good wood. So you never know when you need slats. And it came in quite handy, so I mean, I guess the joke's on me. He gets to say I told you so, because I would have just taken them to the dump with the rest of the bed. But now we were just trying to figure out, like, were we going to do 2 drawers or 1? We decided we were going to do 2 on the bottom, 1 on the top, and I've got my Instant Pot in the cupboard because I wanted to know if they would be deep enough for me to house 2 of my Instant Pots, and then that also gave us like the height for the second shelf, because yeah, we needed that. Now I'm just priming the inside of the box. We learned when doing the shelves under our desk in the kitchen that MDF, raw MDF, definitely needs primer. Otherwise you're going to do like 7 coats of paint. And I hate painting with everything in me. Not that you would know from these videos, because I seem to be doing it a lot. But yeah, so I'm just priming the inside, silently, you know, muttering to myself, telling myself I'm never going to paint again, which is not true. I'm probably going to end up painting, you know, way sooner than I would like. But I primed the whole inside of the box and the supports for the slides. I primed some of the outside of the closet because it was pretty marked up and dirty. You saw the pictures, but for the most part I didn't really need to prime in the closet because I was just painting white over white. So yeah, I primed the areas that I thought looked bad and could use it, and then just kind of went from there. Yep, I'm still painting, guys. Like, this was hours upon hours of painting. Public service announcement: do not paint in clothes you like. You will end up wrecking them. I got paint on those pants and that shirt, which I was less than pleased about. I have heard that there's a product called Crud Cutter that I can buy that will take dried paint off of fabric, so we're gonna give that a try because I really love that shirt. I ordered it from American Eagle on sale, and I never buy myself clothes. So the fact that I got paint on this shirt it just made me kick myself because I know better. Here I am in painting clothes now. Well, okay, the pants aren't painting clothes, but they are now. And I'm just kind of painting through the whole thing, wishing that this closet was big enough for somebody else to paint too, but you know, in fairness, he was cutting wood to make drawers, so this is what we did. I don't know why, somewhere in this project, my ability to multitask or plan or do any of the things kind of fell apart, and I waited all day so I could prime and paint this cupboard. But meanwhile, the shelves were sitting in another room waiting to be primed and painted. I don't know why I didn't do that sooner. So this project went from being, you know, something that I'd planned on working on till dinner time to something I worked on until 11 o'clock at night, which didn't particularly thrill me, but I am thrilled with the end result. So, you know, that's how these DIY projects go sometimes, most times. Does anybody else do DIY projects and not stay up until the wee hours of the morning? Let me know in the comments below, because for whatever reason, we seem incapable of it, like not. This project by far was one of our best in that we were done before midnight. Well, okay, we stopped before midnight and then started again the next day. But we also started at like 8 a.m., whereas normally we start projects around 6 p.m. So that's probably a contributing factor. And here I am painting shelves. I primed and painted both sides of all of them except for the very bottom one. The very bottom one I didn't bother painting the underside because you will never see it. I will never see it. Nobody will ever touch it. It's so close down to the ground that it made no sense to paint that side. And I was really over painting at this point. And yeah, again, we just used paint that we had left over from other projects. The primer was from when we painted our basement. And the paint, I think, was also from when we painted the basement, though I don't remember what we painted with it. Not the stairwell down to the basement, because that's a different white, but I don't know, maybe the ceiling. Now Garen is just working on the sides for the drawers. Don't do what we did. We started cutting all of the sides and got them all ready, and then he pre-drilled all of his holes, but when he put the screws in, the MDF just kind of crumbled. So we ended up making the sides out of some leftover pine that we had from another project that we did about a year ago, which worked out great. And, you know, I'm really happy that it did. But it was a little bit frustrating to put this much time and effort into those sides at first and then just have to start from scratch. But, you know, that's just the way these things go sometimes. So that's my circular saw that my husband bought for me, but the batteries they never last as long as the projects, let's be real. And so he came up with this, I don't know, hack where he used the base of a battery and the wires, and I don't even know. It's just a way of making it fit the batteries for his power tools, because then we have more of them. So yeah, that's why there's a wire hanging off the back of my circular saw. It's actually quite handy, it works quite well, but yeah. I love battery operated power tools, but at the same time I really do like the concept of like constant power, but I hate cords, so you know. My husband was so particular about all of his measurements and all of his cuts. He wanted everything square and neat and perfect, except I think he forgot somewhere along the line that we're not working with a square cupboard. And so he was a little bit frustrated about the fact that even though everything was square and level, it didn't look it when it was all done. And yeah, it was... I think it's great, but the extra gap in the bottom, like just the one is fine, but when he puts in the second one, you can see that the gap is wider below. But, you know, when we checked everything, like that hole, when they cut it, they certainly weren't using a level. I still don't understand why they cut a hole in it. Like, it was just this weird gaping hole. But yeah, he had the kids help him with each of the drawers, and now the kids are helping him put up the supports for the shelves that are going to go in. Isaiah's helping me make supper, and all of the stuff is painted and ready to go. We are so excited to have our kitchen table back because it's been 2 days of no kitchen table. So now we're just measuring different food items that we normally have on hand and just making sure that the shelves are going to be big enough to house those. And also, you know, short enough to make sense and give us enough storage space. I started having doubts right about this point, and I was like, oh my goodness, is this going to be any more storage space? Did I just like completely mess up my pantry? But those drawers, oh my goodness. Like, I have 2 8-quart Instant Pots in the bottom right one. I have all of my like Costco size baking sheets in the top, and like Tupperware serving platters in the top, and the left one I've got just like disposable metal freezable baking tray things, you know, those foil ones, and just a whole bunch of stuff that were just cluttering cupboards. And I'm trying to reorganize my kitchen, which I'll probably make a video soon of me doing that. But yeah, this actually did make a huge difference. I think the only thing that I wish is that I could have made it bigger, but you know, I'm dealing with a small cupboard. One day. That top shelf was so heavy. I was so impressed with how he got it in, because there's no way I can go and help him. It's too small a space for 2 people. So, yeah. When he does these projects, I'm always amazed, because I just give him my plan and then he executes it. So, yeah. I don't know how he does it. Here we are putting on the pulls for the drawers. My husband thought he was done, and then I handed him 3 pulls and he's like, no, we're not doing that. I'm like, no, we are, because I need something to pull the drawers in and out, and I don't want to grab the top. And so, yeah. I am really glad that he did put those in for me, because they are definitely nicer than grabbing the top and pulling like that. I mean, I could have done it, but really, it wouldn't have looked finished. So now I'm just filling the pantry back up with all of our food. I didn't do it with any rhyme or reason. I mean, I tried to kind of keep it organized, but at this point it was after dinner. Kids needed to go to bed. I just needed a pantry back. So the kids brought me stuff and I tried to put it in with some sort of order, and wherever it ended up, it ended up. I am really quite impressed with the space that I have in this shelf. Like, it's, yeah, I just kept putting more and more stuff in it, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I can put all this stuff. I couldn't fit my bread maker, but you know, whatever. Either that or I just don't have as much food as I thought I did. But I feel like that's not true, because nobody's starving. Now that I've been living with this for a few days, it's so much nicer. And just a reminder, this is what it looked like before. You know, full, but definitely not adequate. And here is a close-up of what it looks like now. Those are level, I promise. I may go in and paint out those little supports. I may not. I'm kind of over painting now. And here it is with food in it. Those bottom things are like cereal containers, so that's how deep these things are. Anyways, that is it for this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing, and I will see you guys again with our next project.